Hi, everyone. Mimi Roca here for Talking Feds. I want to talk to you today about something that crosses yet another very red, very dangerous line. And I know we keep saying that, and, it's hard to keep saying it. And it's hard, I'm sure, to take it in and understand the significance of things when we keep saying it. But every time I think there can't be another line crossed, it happens. And that is something that you may have missed because it really did not get the coverage it deserved this week. I think just 2 days ago, actually. Trump was sitting in the Oval Office. He was signing those executive orders, as he loves to do. And I believe he signed some about another law firm, as he's been doing, where he essentially puts a protection payment on a law firm. This one, I think, was Sussman Godfrey. And there may have been some other things. But he did something then really remarkable. And it was remarkable because what he did is he signed executive orders, not about a law firm, which is bad enough, not about particular organizations or even news organizations or institutions, but about two individual people. And those two individuals are not just any people, they are people who worked in his administration the first time around in essentially national security type roles. Their names are Chris Krebs, who led the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency from 2018 to 2020. And the second is Miles Taylor, who was a Department of Homeland Security official in the first Trump administration. Now, what did Trump write an order about? What is the allegations, the terrible thing that these two public servants did back, during the first administration to warrant a special executive order about them? Chris Krebs made headlines when he contradicted, by speaking the truth in a news interview, he contradicted Trump's false claims that the 2020 presidential election had been stolen, right? Krebs was in a cybersecurity position, and he said, no, actually, this was a safe election. Okay, speaking the truth, facts, which many other people said, but, this was someone in his administration contradicting him, so it caught the attention. It made headlines because it was someone in his administration vouching that the election had been safe. In his executive order, because of this, Trump labels Krebs essentially a bad faith actor, who poses risks to the American public. I don't need to tell you how ludicrous it is to make that kind of allegation given the conduct that Krebs actually did. And then as to Miles Taylor, the Department of Homeland Security official, he too publicly criticized the president in a different form, in a book that originally came under the pseudonym Anonymous, and eventually was revealed to be him. And Taylor, criticized things that the president did that he wanted to get out there and was too afraid to do under his name. So he was talking about things that he thought were, expressing his opinion that he thought were dangerous to the country at the time. And Trump said first about Taylor that he also poses risks to the United States. That's a quote, that he's a bad faith actor, and that he stoked dissension. All right, those are just some of the terms from Trump's order about Krebs and Taylor. But it gets worse, right? We have seen him publicly criticize former officials, multiple times. I mean, Liz Cheney has been the subject of it. And in fact, we have even seen him call for, how directly or indirectly for certain people to be investigated. He did that during campaign stops. He did that in news interviews. He's done that in press conferences. He's done that, but he has never done it from the Oval Office, where he then directed the Department of Justice, which we all know he has made quite clear is his Department of Justice, and I'll get to the people who work there in a minute. He directed them to open a criminal investigation of Krebs and Taylor, okay? Based on nothing, right? Now, something you may or may not know, and frankly, this is common sense. You don't need to have been a prosecutor to know this, but you need to open a criminal investigation in the Department of Justice, in a U.S. Attorney's Office. You have to have something called predication. What is predication? It's a pretty low standard. It's essentially some facts that have been brought to your attention as an investigator, as a prosecutor, that say, there's some reason here to believe that there might have been some criminal conduct. I'm going to issue some subpoenas. I'm going to start poking around, see what I find before you even get to subpoenas, because subpoenas actually require a higher standard. But there is none of that here. It is simply that they engaged in conduct that Donald Trump doesn't like. Going on a news interview and saying that an election was safe and secure, there is absolutely no predicate for a crime. Even complaining anonymously about the administration in which you work there is no predication for a crime. So it is like two layers of craziness, frankly, of crossing the line. One, that you have the president ordering the Department of Justice to do anything, to investigate anyone. We have gone so far past the idea that this now almost seems normal because he keeps doing it and referring to DOJ as his DOJ, and the people in DOJ just sort of kowtowing to him and being political arms of his agenda as opposed to independent prosecutors, which they should be. So that's one, we can't lose sight of how not normal that is and wrong. That's what dictators do. They order their prosecutors and investigators to go look at people, not in a democracy. And then second, that he did it without even having any kind of predication, but more because he absolutely did not like this conduct, and they made him angry and they dared to speak against him. Again, really the conduct of dictators. Go investigate someone criminally because I don't like what they said about me. We have free speech. We have the right to speak the truth. I mean, there's so many ways in which this is wrong. So now I want to talk for a second about what's going to happen as a result of this. Oh, and I left out one very important part. He not only told the Department of Justice to open this investigation, he told them what to investigate when it comes to Miles Taylor. He said, I think it's treason. Okay, treason is an incredibly serious, perhaps one of the most serious federal offenses there is, which is punishable by death. That is not a term to be lightly thrown around by anyone, let alone the president of the United States sitting in the Oval Office. I am quite worked up about this, as you can see, because as a prosecutor who spent so many years abiding by all of the principles of federal prosecution, the Justice Manual, the rules of professional responsibility, the ethical rules about what you need to open an investigation, to have this man sit there and say, I think so-and-so is guilty of treason in the Oval Office, and I'm dressing it up with an executive order to make it look official, is really just outrageous and mind-boggling and scary, frankly. And the worst part is, if can be one worse part, the worst part is that I don't have faith that the Department of Justice, as it exists right now with the leadership it has, will not carry through on this or try to carry through on this. Does that mean they will be able to find a crime or they will be able to get a grand jury to indict something? I don't know. I hope not. But the fact of the matter is that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, and then the third in line, Emil Bove, have proven to be political loyalists who will carry out things that even other attorney generals and DOJ officials under Trump, who I didn't consider models of perfection, but Bill Barr said no to things like this. I do not believe that Bondi will say no. And that is where we have just entered this very scary Rubicon. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news about something so frightening, but I really wanted to highlight it for you because it just really hasn't appeared in the news in the way that it should, and it's becoming normalized. So keep your eye on it. Let's see what DOJ does, and I'm sure I'll be back to talk to you about it again. For Talking Feds, signing off, Mimi Rocha. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.